Welcome. You're listening to Ask the Doulas, a podcast where we talk to experts from all over the country about topics related to pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and early parenting. Let's chat.
Hello. This is Kristin Revere with Ask the Doulas, and I am excited to bring back our own Kristin Morter to the podcast, the daughter of a NICU postpartum nurse. And she is an amazing overnight and daytime postpartum doula with our team. And she also works in lactation at an area hospital as a certified lactation consultant who is on the path to becoming an IBCLC. So welcome, Kristin.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So our topic today is what to expect at the hospital postpartum. And since you work in the hospital, you're the perfect one to help guide us, not only our listeners who are expecting or new parents and planning for other deliveries down the road, or also the birth workers who listen who may not fully understand what the postnatal experience is for their client.
Yeah, that's actually why I want to talk about this, because I think going from being somebody who had been attending births and stuff and also having my own, now working in the postpartum side, I'm starting to see a whole new light on what actually happens in postpartum. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that before. And I didn't know how to help my clients know what to expect as far as what postpartum care looks like, what those hours look like, and what to ask for and what to expect. So
Exactly. Yes. Because before you worked in the hospital system, you were a birth doula with us. So had that perspective and the follow-up postnatal visit, as well as, of course, supporting postpartum clients, but to fully understand how they can better prepare for the hospital experience after baby. I know with my own births, even working with birth doulas, I wasn't fully prepared.
Yeah, no. And it's kind of one of those clubs that you're not in it until you're in it. And then you fully understand, but.
Yeah, and it changes over time. Certainly the pandemic changed the postnatal hospital experience. Our clients were getting released a lot sooner than in the past, often a night sooner than they had before. And certainly there were restrictions with visitors. So that's always a common question with my childbirth students and my birth doula clients is how the visitor process would go and what sort of things they should even pack in their hospital bag and all the things that might be given to them postpartum. So you have firsthand experience of what's in the room, what's important, and how to maximize all of the experts like lactation consultants who are coming in and out of the room and the nurses and how to, again, have the best experience possible.
I think that's a great place to start too, is like what to pack, because I think that's one of the hot topics of what should you bring with you to the hospital? Because we're packing that bag weeks before we even have the babies. Is it all right if I talk on that just for a little bit?
Ooh, yes.
I would say, especially now working postpartum, I think I would have had this whole list of what to bring in your hospital bag. But in reality, you don't really need as much as you think, just because with all of the nurses coming in to check on you, to do vitals on your baby, really the hospital provides more than you think it does. So I have a lot of people that bring swaddling blankets and outfits for their babies. And one thing that we don't realize, especially as first-time parents, is how messy little newborns are. So I would say let the hospital do your laundry. So they have little cute shirts for your babies to wear, and they have all the swaddling blankets and all the burp cloths and everything. So I would say leave your good ones at home at first and let the hospital provide all that for you. They have diapers and wipes available that you don't have to pay for. It's all included in your room. And you can even take some of them home with you. I would say just make sure that you have something attached that's comfortable for you to be in, because those gowns really are not the most comfortable. I think they're kind of awkward and weird. So for yourself, absolutely pack something comfortable, but the baby's going to be fine in the little hospital shirts and little blankets.
Yeah, other than the going home outfit, or unless you're taking advantage of the hospital photographer, for example, or have fresh photos while you're still in the hospital, then
yes,
then you don't have to worry about it. And certainly there are all of these fancy swaddles versus the swaddle that the hospital provides. So some of my clients want to bring their own. Really fine. But like you said, there are so many things that are provided, everything from like the bulb syringes to Vaseline to certainly looking at like nipple cream and things like that for the mother. It's not just baby supplies like diapers and those and wipes and things like that don't necessarily need to pack.
Absolutely. And the hospital has great disposable underwear for you to use and wonderful pads. Ice shake and break ice pads are amazing at the hospital, and they have heat packs too. It's really, there's a lot there. We have pump kits that are available too. A lot of people think that they need to bring their own personal pump to the hospital with them. In reality, we have a whole pump system that's hospital grade. The nice thing about our pumping system too is that it comes with colostrum collectors, which typical personal pumps don't come with. And that's going to save all of that colostrum in one little section of the pump instead of losing it in all little bits and pieces, because colostrum is thick, but there's not a lot of it. Being able to use that hospital grade pump while you're there, you get to take all the parts home with you. So if you did have the same type of pump with you or at home, then you can use those pumps on your pump, or the parts on your pump at home as well, which is great.
That is such a good point, Kristin. And my daughter was in the NICU due to glucose issues for 4 days. And I briefly breastfed her after the birth, but then went right to pumping in my room and bringing the pump. So as you mentioned, all of those pumping supplies are given. And when I had lactation support, it was for pumping since my daughter wasn't with me in the room. And so I really appreciated the advice from Lactation about how to transition from pumping to my goal of breastfeeding, and ended up going back and visiting with lactation consultants, and then even my friend rented me a hospital grade pump at home because I went home without my daughter. And that helped keep my supply up for when I did transition to breastfeeding exclusively.
Absolutely. And it's so hard to go home without your baby, and what a great way to be able to still prepare for baby while you're at home and kind of give you physical ways to be able to still provide, even when it's kind of like, it's really difficult emotionally to go home without your baby too.
Yes. And then nipple shields are something that our clients occasionally need that extra support with the latch. And that is something that you have in the hospitals.
Yes. So anything as far as like helping you out with breastfeeding, we have multiple sizes of nipple shields. Most hospitals have various sizes of flanges, but they're only going to be for that hospital or for the pump still has an agreement with, right? So every hospital has an agreement with a certain brand of pump. So at the hospital that I work at, we work with Doula. All of our stuff would be able to go along with that pumping system. But we also have something called like nipple averters, which is a good step to try before you even use a nipple shield too. But we'll teach you how to use them, teach you how to clean them, and we even have little wash basins and soaps that you can use to make sure that those are cleaned and that's all safe for baby.
Yes. And then certainly milk storage, colostrum storage is something that I took advantage of as well. So I didn't need to bring all of those supplies either.
Right. Yeah. Especially a baby-friendly hospital, will have a breast milk fridge that is designated for breast milk only. And they have a system where they are going to have a sticker, which is just a patient sticker. It matches the same bracelet that you have on, and exactly how they do the system of checking your baby in and out of your room when they need to do testing in the NICU or in the nursery. They also do the same system with your breast milk as well. So they're going to make sure that it's yours. They're going to double check that it's yours, and it's very safe and well done.
Good point. And for our listeners who don't know what a baby-friendly hospital is, and I know you work in one, would you be able to elaborate on maybe the difference in the support that's given and how your postpartum stay might be a bit different in a baby-friendly hospital?
Yeah, so Baby Friendly is an initiative that's really trying to promote keeping babies in an environment that is the best for them, which would be in the same room with their parents. We're trying to, encourage breastfeeding as much as possible and limited separation of mom and baby. there are certain guidelines that we need to follow, and a person actually comes to the hospital to make sure that we are doing everything and following those guidelines to make sure that minimal separation is done, the golden hour is being held to, and that babies are rooming in with parents as much as possible.
Think about the holidays. What's one moment you look forward to most? For me, it's gathering my family in the living room, watching holiday movies, curling up with our Cozy Earth bubble cuddle blanket. I love it so much that I'm gifting it to other family members this year so they can enjoy the textured bubble design and ultra soft faux fur feel. I love how luxurious it looks compared to our other blankets. I mean, Michigan winters sure are cold, and Cozy Earth bubble cuddle blankets bring joy beyond the holiday season. Try them out. If you don't love them, return them hassle-free. Black Friday has come early at Cozy Earth. Right now, you can stack my code Gold Coast on top of their site-wide sale, giving you up to 40% off in savings. These deals won't last, so start your holiday shopping today. And if you get a post-purchase survey, mention you heard about Cozy Earth on Ask the Doulas podcast. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. Now, for families who medically can't breastfeed or choose not to, how does that work in a baby-friendly hospital?
Yeah, so back when I had my kids, which seems like a long time ago right now, we would go home with like bags that had formula in it, right? It was almost like that was your gift on your way out the door, was to give you cans of those travel size formulas and different bottles and pacifiers and stuff. In a baby-friendly hospital, we're not advertising formula and we're not freely just like gifting it to everyone. However, we do have formula available and we support every type of feeding style. So even though we are trying to promote breastfeeding, because according to the American government and the CDC, like breastfeeding for the first 6 months is what the recommendation is, we still know that that's not a possibility for everybody. So we have various different forms of formula. You can choose between 2 different brands that we have. And if your baby has any dietary issues or anything, we do have other things that they can also have. We also have access, and a lot of hospitals have access to a donor milk, which is great for parents who don't want to use formula, but also are able to breastfeed. So we can always ask your provider if you are eligible to use the donor milk as well.
Yes, that is a good point. And of course, like for our listeners who may be in a rural area or may have a smaller hospital that doesn't have, say, the amenities that a large metro hospital would, then certainly you're going to get a lot of those basic supplies. And certainly not only are there lactation consultants that go room to room, but there are also nurses that are trained to support lactation and all types of feeding in the postpartum wings.
And also with lactation too, lactation works different for every hospital. So I think especially coming in when you're coming into the L&D setting, ask what the hospital situation is for lactation. The smaller hospitals probably have a more limited lactation team who only have a certain amount of hours, whereas a bigger, more metro hospital is going to have almost round-the-clock lactation available to them. At one hospital, you may have to ask more readily for lactation, where at another hospital, like at the metro hospital where I work at, we have a team that is there for 20 hours a day. So every one of our patients that is choosing to breastfeed will be seen by lactation without even needing to request. So,
right.
If you are at a bigger hospital, you don't necessarily have to request lactation the minute you get to a postpartum floor, where at a smaller one, you might have to do that.
And some smaller ones, depending on when baby's delivered, may not work weekends, for example.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah.
Now, as far as the different breastfeeding pillows, this is always the question my students have, like, should they bring their own, like My Breast Friend pillow or the one that they registered for, or will the hospital have things that can work and replace? I often will just take pillows and fold them over, and that will work if my client either doesn't have a pillow or doesn't want to cart it from home, because they're quite big.
They're big and clunky, and they're not the most easy to transport. So that's one funny thing I think as a lactation professional that I never thought of before working in this field. My breast fed pillows and the boppy pillows and breastfeeding pillows in general, when you're at home in a comfortable chair or on a couch, or even in your own bed, can be, I mean, they are 100% wonderful. Like I've absolutely loved using them myself and found them very beneficial. In those hospital beds, though, it's kind of 50-50. Sometimes they're just a big pain. You don't
I
really
agree.
fit in the bed very well. And like I don't know, I usually, like you said, we call them pillow forts. We just build up support with all the hospital pillows that we can get. And that usually works a lot better than a breastfeeding pillow does.
Yes, unless you're seated on a couch or a different spot. Those going back and forth to the NICU, they may be on a chair or couch and able to have those timed feedings that way. But you're right, in the bed where we spend most of our time postpartum when we're in the hospital, it is a little bit more clumsy and isn't set up for that.
And they're great for being postpartum. Hospital beds are great for what they are. They have to be that way, right? They're going to be the best way for you to get the care that you need. So it's not that it's the bed's fault or anything. It's just in that setting, it doesn't always work so well. There are hospitals that do provide, if they have got a certain grant or funding, they do have breastfeeding pillows that are available for you to use. So that's, again, another, depending on where you are, it's a great question when you're doing your hospital tour of like, do you have breastfeeding pillows available? Do I have to bring my own? And then you can kind of weigh it out. Like, is that something you really want to bring with you? Or obviously every family is different, so you have to do what's right for you.
Exactly. And some hospitals, your birthing room will be your postpartum room. So you don't transfer over, but the larger ones tend to have different floors for labor and delivery than postpartum.
Yeah. Yep. I know that the hospital that my mom worked at, your birthing room was your postpartum room. And then the hospital that I work at, we have 2 labor and delivery floors and we have 3 postpartum floors. So It's way different. You definitely
so just thinking about what you're bringing, knowing that you likely have to transfer to a different room. So yeah, and you can always leave things in the car and have your partner or family bring them up later if you want to bring more than just the basic hospital bag.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really good idea, actually. If you have a labor bag and then also a postpartum bag, sometimes that makes a lot of difference to have 2 separate things.
Yeah. Let's talk about what your patients wear and bring for their own self-care and for themselves.
Yeah, so I have seen a lot of those. They're kind of like a knit or a t-shirt material gown that has its own snaps that go up to the shoulders. I think a lot of people buy them on Amazon and they are absolutely wonderful as far as like they're still kind of a gown. They're very comfortable and cozy, but then the nurses and providers can get to whatever they need to get to without you being in a scratchy hospital gown.
And I agree. They're so cute for photos. Like Pretty Pushers was like the first brand on the market to come out. And now Amazon has a lot of options. And there are so many that are accessible for feeding and comfortable and also allow for any sort of monitoring or cords that would need to be utilized postpartum.
Yes. And I even saw the other day for the first time ever, there was a gown that matched her baby's little swaddle. It was so cute. They were adorable.
That is adorable. And then thinking about temperature, hormone fluctuations, and feeling like hot one minute and cold the next. And so are you seeing robes or other layers, especially in a cold area like Michigan as we're entering fall and winter soon to be?
Yes, a lot of robes. However, I do feel like a lot of the rooms that I go into, especially in the postpartum, I usually am seeing people between 6 and 12 hours after they've had delivered their baby. And they're usually very warm, and the rooms that I go to are extremely warm. Not a lot
Much
of
different from labor and delivery where they're freezing.
Yes.
Intentionally, because you're so hot in labor. So it makes sense.
Yeah. So it's funny because I'll come out sweating because I'm not hormonal. Definitely bring layers. You're not going to you're going to want to take things off when you need to take things off, and you're going to want to put things on when you need to put things on. So bringing your own slippers as well. Like you'll get those little socks that have the sticky things on the bottom, but definitely get like non-slip slippers to wear for your feet too.
I agree. It's so much more comfortable. And I tell my students and clients to bring a sleeping mask, because even though you can control the lights in the room, people come in and out. And if you're trying to get a little bit of rest, then that can also be helpful if you're someone that needs a completely dark room to sleep.
Yes, I think a lot of people think that once you have your baby, that you get to just rest in your room and enjoy your baby. Truth is, like, there are people who need to come check in on you, and it is a little bit more frequent than I think most people would expect it to be. Your room is not just this quiet place that you kind of get to just hunker down for the day until you get to go home. So yeah, I do think keeping in mind, like bringing a mask, making sure that you're intentional about times that you get to rest, and just kind of noticing like there are going to be a lot of people in and out of your room, but there's a purpose and a reason for it. It's not just to bother you. It's to do good things and to check up on you and do your vitals and make sure everything's going well.
Agreed. And depending on the hospital, sometimes the pediatrician will come in if they have rounds and access to a hospital, or there would be a hospitalist pediatrician to check baby out. And then, of course, the OB or midwife that's on call would come in to also do that checkout visit. And there are teaching hospitals, so you might have nursing students come in your room as well, depending on the hospital or what your birth plan allows.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you also have like birth records that's going to come in and go over paperwork and stuff with you. And a new thing that I've been seeing a lot too is that certain hospitals are getting hospitality groups, and those hospitality people come. It's different than the environmental services people that come and clean your room. These people help you order all of your meals, make sure that you're comfortable, that you don't need anything extra. It's just kind of going above and beyond your hospital experience. So they too, like if you don't want them to come in, you can absolutely tell your nurse like, hey, that's really nice. I don't need that right now. Advocating for yourself doesn't stop in the labor and delivery room. It can go into the postpartum room as well. So making sure that you're communicating well with your care team that, hey, I need a break. I need to take a nap. I need 2 hours of nobody coming into my room. Some hospitals have stop signs that you can put on your door to ensure that you're going to get that time of rest.
Yes. Now, one thing that I know a lot of our area hospitals are working on is educating, in our case, our clients, but patients, to ask for assistance from a nurse or their partner before getting up out of bed, trying to reduce the slip and fall. And of course, making sure that partners and patients are not falling asleep with baby in the bed or couch.
Even if you think you're not going to, I think we underestimate how tired our bodies are. You just went through something huge and life-changing, and your body needs rest. And a lot of times those sweet moments of snuggling can turn into that you fell asleep because it was so comfy. So making sure that if you're feeling the littlest bit of drowsiness, put your baby back in their bassinet. And again, like you said, getting out of bed too. It's really hard to know if you've had an epidural, if you had a C-section. It's hard to feel exactly how much of your legs have feeling back. You can still be really wobbly, and also your blood pressure can change really rapidly going from a laying down position to automatically standing up. So always ask for help until your care team is confident that you can get to and from the bathroom by yourself.
Yeah, it's their job to help. So it's not an inconvenience to hit that button and ask for assistance.
No, and there's more people, like nurses have multiple patients, but there's also nurse techs and there's other people on the floor that want to help you and that are there for you as well. So you're not being a burden. You are doing the right thing by calling out and asking for assistance.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So what else should our listeners expect from their postpartum stay in a hospital?
Yeah, so I think one thing that we go into and that we talk about a lot is what to expect as far as feeding your newborn in the first 24 hours. The hospitals will tell you to feed your baby every 2 to 3 hours. So I would just love to spend some time to kind of clarify, like, what is feeding your baby in the first 2 days going to look like? In that golden hour right after delivery, that's probably going to be, not always, it's probably going to be your baby's best feeding for their first day. I hear that often, that like the first feeding was wonderful, that the latch was great, that they fed for like a half an hour down in L&D. And then parents get up to postpartum and their babies are sleepy. And that's very normal. So babies go through something called a period of non-reactivity for 12 to 24 hours, where you're going to have to attempt to feed your baby every 2 to 3 hours, but it's not a guarantee that they're going to wake up for you and feed for you. So I think attempting is the name of the game for that first day. Like, don't expect your baby to be feverishly hungry every 2 to 3 hours. They're probably going to be sleepy, and latching might be 50-50, and that's okay because they're learning. It's their first time feeding with their mouths. They got 24/7 room service for 9 months, and now all of a sudden they have to do something they've never done before.
Exactly. And yeah, you don't need to produce a lot. So there isn't that kind of pressure for weight gain that you would have once you get home and your milk is fully come in.
Right. Yeah. Colostrum as a baby superfood is absolutely wonderful, and it comes in small amounts. But that's because your baby's tummy starts out at 5 mLs big, so they don't need a lot. Also, after delivery, sometimes they have amniotic fluid that's kind of still in their bellies that they have to work out of their systems over the next few days. So some babies spit up, some babies gag a little bit. A lot of babies have wet and dirty diapers, like a lot of them the first day. And then the diapers kind of drop off a little bit by the second day because of that residual amniotic fluid that's still left. But every baby's different too. So like some babies might be sleepy on the first day, some babies might be real fussy, but there are probably reasons, and a lot of it has to do with how much amniotic fluid they swallowed before they came out. Typically on the second day, babies start to be a little bit more alert and awake. They start to actually feed for you every 2 to 3 hours. And then going into that second night, that's when babies do something called cluster feeding. And that's when to expect your baby to keep you up all night long. So I usually tell people, I'm like, get your favorite snacks, get some good hydrating beverages, whether you love water or you want something more like a Propel or something, and then find a really funny show to binge watch all night long and plan on catnapping, because that baby's not going to let you sleep. So don't try to go to bed.
Good tips. So, Kristin, as we navigate visitors and family and friends who want to come into the hospital to meet baby, support the couple, how do we best optimize the education, the need for that, say, a lactation consultant like yourself and the nurses give, along with needing rest and time to focus on feeding and bonding with baby? Like, there are so many concerns as far as kind of protecting time and focusing on rest, but also wanting to celebrate this very important occasion.
Yeah. I think if guests are willing to wait till after you guys get home from the hospital, I think that that's probably one of the best decisions, just because nobody knows exactly how they're going to feel after delivery. There's all kinds of situations that can come up. So allowing your family to rest, allowing you to bond with your baby, work out all the feedings, that would be like the best situation. However, I do know that people are going to want to come see you and bring you cards and flowers and good snacks. So I would say, like, to the best of your ability, kind of feel it out for you and your family. Talk with your partner about what he can handle, but maybe for that first day after baby comes, have it just be the family unit, and then allow visitors to come maybe that second day. Obviously, like, you have to do what's right for you and your family, but taking a lot of grace into consideration and all the different things that can come up. There's a lot that goes on in that room. So yeah, holding space for your family is not a problem. I think that's a good thing to do.
I agree. Any final tips for our listeners on what to expect at the hospital?
Yeah, just have grace with yourself. Expect to enjoy your time as much as you can with your baby in those first 2 days. It's a wonderful 2 days. You're getting to know them. You're watching them change. They change so much in just short little periods of time. So I think just focus on your baby as much as you can, and just getting as much rest as you can, and kind of soak it all in. It's a wonderful experience.
Well, thank you, Kristin. And for our listeners who are local, Kristin is available for day and overnight postpartum support with us. She's a baby registry consultant and a lactation consultant. So you can connect with her in many ways, but appreciate you sharing your knowledge, having worked internally in hospitals for years, and also knowing what your clients are asking you during pregnancy, if they're hiring you for postpartum, well in advance versus after baby arrives.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for having me on here.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
And we will talk soon.
Thanks for listening to Ask the Doulas. For more information about Gold Coast Doulas, visit us on our website, goldcoastdoulas.com. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Thank you. Remember, these moments are golden.